So I just want to make a video to document what I'm going through with this very disappointing front load laundry machine. Came with my house, so I'm not really sure how old it is, but it's not that old. As you can tell, it's a GE. It's one of the more fancy ones. You know, the front load style with the door. And it turns out all the makes and models have the exact same design flaw. So I want to put this out here as a warning to people. It's a real shame. The way it works, well, what happened with mine is the drum starts to wobble too much inside this big plastic casing. So there's two drums. There's a stainless steel drum and then there's this plastic casing that holds all the water. And it violent, you know, it's shaking around the room kind of thing. And then at some point now it started to smoke, plastic smell burning, rubber smell burning, that kind of thing. So it's just like we can't use it anymore. So I looked online and it sounded like maybe the bearings, as you can see the bearings right here, maybe they'd gone bad, which would allow the drum to wobble too much, you know, too much axial power on those bearings, I guess you'd say. So to take a look at those bearings, you basically have to rip the machine apart, like completely. Which there's some videos on YouTube. It's not impossible. It took me probably 2 or 3 hours because there's no video of this exact machine. There's a video of a Maytag. It's somewhat similar. So what I've learned so far is it is rubbing on the inside. As you can see, this line here of burnt plastic is where it was starting to rub and make that burning smell. So I thought, okay, bearings are bad. So I got the tub apart. I got the shaft out of the bit, but you know what? The bearings actually seem really good. There's no play in them, nothing I can detect. But I realized what my problem was, and I'll go show you next. And it's very disappointing. So what you're looking at here is the stainless steel drum that's inside the machine. This is the outside of it, quite dirty. The inside always looks clean, but it turns out the outside of these tubs is filthy. But a fatal design flaw, and every machine has this, no matter what brand, basically, it seems like. It has this, what they call a spider attachment, which is like 3 arms, and then it holds the shaft. And there's a huge amount of force on all this, obviously. And they make this out of stainless steel, and they lifetime warranty the drum, in a lot of times, a lot of cases. But they don't warranty this part at all, or for a very short amount of time. And this part's made out of cast aluminum. And when you have the soap in there and the water and the two dissimilar metals just attached to each other, you get a huge amount of electrolysis. And this thing is just like holes everywhere. I don't know if you can see. I'm going to zoom in here for you. There's literally just holes. I've covered most of them up now because I've started to repair it, but there's cracking all along in here. It's just, and I've seen other ones on the internet now that I have this problem, and I realized that are way worse. They've just disintegrated. And this one, I have to, first I power washed it, then I grinded it with a wire wheel, and so it actually looks like metal again. But I mean, when it first comes out, it's you don't even know what material this is. It's so pitted. The hole, there's just massive holes in it. It's unbelievable. It's just disintegrating. I'm sure it would have disintegrated, you know, so. And what makes it even more frustrating is they don't sell, even though this just bolts onto this stainless steel drum, they don't sell this spider attachment separately, at least not for my make and model, and not for most of them. So what they want to sell you is the whole thing combined for like $400 plus shipping. It's insane, which you're going to get a new machine for that. So all I can say is maybe get a top load machine. But I wasn't going to give up just yet on this machine. I'm going to try to fix it before we buy a new one. So I read online that somebody did an epoxy with fiberglass treatment to theirs, and they didn't report on how long it lasted, but it seemed like it's a possibility. So this is all JB Weld with fiberglass. I know it's ugly, and I'm about to take this off here and turn it over and do the other side, and then I'm going to paint it all with a bed liner. Like a black bed liner for a truck. I'm hoping that will make it last. But there's a huge amount of work, and just taking the machine apart is a huge amount of work. And it's not even something that maybe your average homeowner would probably be able to tackle themselves. So by the time you had labor into this, if you were paying somebody, it's just not worth it. So the symptoms of this is there's a wobble in the drum when it's going, and on the full high speed, it really starts to shake, even without clothes in it, and you'll get the burning smoke starting. That's when you know you're really on the edge. And I believe the whole problem is just this attachment. There were so many cracks. There was a crack through here, there's a crack through here, and there's a crack through here, and there's other minor cracks all throughout here. So I think it just had so much flex in it at that speed that it was starting to wobble. That's what I believe, at least. I don't think the bearings are bad, but thanks for watching. I'll add on to this video if it does end up working and I do get it all fixed, or maybe I'll post another video. But this is my hassle with a front load washing machine. Just unbelievable. And the amount of tools you have to do to make this work, like you know, this is not an easy job. It's very disappointing that they would attach aluminum like this, cast aluminum, stainless steel in like a basic solution, I think, with the laundry detergent. It's like a battery. It's just insane. These are the kinds of things that happen when you're trying to do a project, especially when you have limited time and your son is up napping. 5 of the 6 bolts came out fine, but this one, it's a Torx drive, stripped. I had it, you know, I tried everything, pushing really hard, using 2 different types of impact driver eventually. You know, I tried everything. So the only thing I can think of, obviously I think there's things where you can drill it out and then use like a tool to remove it, but I don't have that. What I do have is a Dremel. So I'm going to attempt to Dremel a slot into that bolt, even though it's stainless steel, so it's going to be hellishly hard, and then use a slot driver. So we'll see if that works. I'll let you know. Man, is that ever a pain. I did get it out. I had to make a big slot, use my biggest flathead screwdriver, and then use the little crescent wrench on the screwdriver. Like at the top on my screwdriver, there's like a bolt there you can use. I had to put all my weight on it and then turn the crescent wrench. But got it out. This is kind of what it looked like before I cleaned it up. The other side as well. This is actually a little bit better than the other side. You can see all the holes in there. It's really thin. There's cracks all throughout here. Well, that's my epoxy seeping through, so that's good to see that it came through. But in my particular model, this is indented here where the screws are, and the stainless steel actually bulges inwards into this indent. So once you take the screws out, it's almost impossible to get out of the actual drum. That's obviously why I don't sell this part individually, but this is all caked on detergent, all in here, all these openings. It's just terrible. It's just unbelievable. So this is after it's been cleaned up with a wire wheel and a lot of scraping, about an hour of trying to get the soap residue out. It's so hard to get the soap residue out of these deep caverns. They're completely full with soap. But as you can see here, the pitting is unbelievable. Holes cracking all through here, cracking all through here. This, I believe this metal plate, which is a different type of metal, would have been completely cast in at one point. It's completely pitted away, eating away the aluminum around it. So it's just about as bad as it can get. So we're going to try to fill all these holes with epoxy and fiberglass, and hope we can save it, especially along here. This crack all along here, that's bad. Along here, you know, it's just bad all around. I don't know if the paint's going to stick unless I get all of this soap residue off, and I'm having a hard time doing that. I need some kind of chemical, I think. So I'll have to look into that. So putting on fiberglass is hard, especially on weird shapes like this, and especially with this epoxy. It's too thick. The JB Weld is just too thick for epoxy, I think. I think it's a thickened epoxy, and it's hard to get it to wet out the fiberglass and stay on the surface. but I think I've got 2 or 3 layers of fiberglass on here, so the bottom stuff is definitely well weathered out and good, and just some of the top stuff will just have to be cut off. But and there's you know 10 ounces of JB Weld on there, so I'm really hoping I'm not going to do any more. So I've already spent $30 on epoxy and you know $15 on fiberglass, and I don't even know if this is going to work once it's put back together. So I'm going to let this cure overnight. I'm going to clean it up the best I can. I'm going to spray it with some kind of paint, and I'm going to reinstall it, and hopefully it works. So I'll keep you informed.